Guys, hope you're doing well as always and welcome to the Football Hipster channel. We've got a new name, a new look, and I know what you're thinking. The channel name's still the same, Sam. Why is that, buddy? Let me tell you very quickly before we get into today's video. So, on the day of the rebrand, I thought, you know what, let's just double check that I can use the Football Hipster. I don't know if it's not going to let me. It did let me. So then I changed it back, and then it came midnight, and then I tried to change it back. And to cut a long story short, you can only change your name a certain amount of times within a 14-day period. So, I am the Football Hipster, but I'm also sort of Sam Payton for a little bit. It was weird saying your own name. Anyway, on with the video, ladies and gents, and it is going to be a controversial one today. Some of you guys watching are going to be upset, and I apologise in advance. But these are my opinions. We are looking at my 2023-2024 Premier League predictions, and I am giddy to be back. Without further ado, let's just get straight into the video. But if you are new here, subscribe, like the video, and comment down below what you think of my predictions as well as your own. I'm genuinely interested. On with the video. Starting off in 20th place, I'm very sorry to say it is Luton Town. This position was going to have to be filled by someone, and in my opinion, it's going to be Luton. Watching them in the playoff final last season, it was clear to see that Luton are way off being a regular Premier League side. And that's not to say that they don't deserve their place in the Premier League, but it's going to be a real struggle for them to stay up, and I don't think that I'm going to be alone in that opinion. Carlton Morris was their top goal scorer and assister last term, but Elijah Adebayo caught my eye as a special player for the Hatters throughout their run in the playoffs, and I expect both of these players to cause some problems for Premier League defences. The novelty of their stadium is destined to attract fans from all across the country, but the gap in quality is going to be too much for those Luton players on the pitch, and I expect them to go straight back down. Moving into 19th place, I've gone for Sheffield United. With Sheffield United's current financial situation, promotion back to the Premier League was vital for their long-term survival as a top-end football club. Although investment into the first team has suffered as a result of this situation, Sander Berge is the danger man for Sheffield, with Ryan Brewster still yet to fulfill his potential. And could this be the season that sees him shine? I don't see that being the case, but it will be great to see players like McBurnie back in the Premier League again. Sheffield have more potential than Luton to stay in the Premier League this season, and without question their players could cause a few surprises. But I think that their squad isn't superior enough to stay in the Premier League beyond this season. Moving into the final relegation spot, and it is unfortunately Nottingham Forest. Steve Cooper led Nottingham Forest to Premier League survival last campaign against the predictions of many fans, myself included, but I just think that this season will be the one that sees Nottingham Forest face the drop. I think that they have a strong chance of survival, but in my opinion they just don't have enough quality to stay in the Premier League despite the last 2 seasons worth of investment. Brennan Johnson provided to be an important figure towards the end of last season, and if he and Taiwo Awani can continue where they left off last season, Forest could stay up, but I just don't see that happening. This is a position in the league that I think that any of the next 3 teams I'm going to talk about could easily find themselves in, but Nottingham Forest are the team that I've picked to fill this void and unfortunately face relegation back to the Championship. 17th place, and I have chosen Wolves to narrowly escape the drop, and Wolves have been in real danger of relegation for a few seasons now. Ruben Neves' departure will leave a huge leadership gap, but the overall lack of goals is a glaring issue that needs to be fixed, especially with the departure of Jimenez. Will the signing of Cunha keep them up? 6 goals in 40 La Liga games is hardly promising, so I'm not overly confident that he's going to be enough. With a world-class manager at the helm and FFP restrictions affecting transfer strategies, it's going to be a tricky season for the Midlands side, but I have enough faith in them that they're just about going to beat the drop. But it's going to be a close call and a long and painful season for Wolves, and I think that they're really going to struggle. 16th place, and it's going to be a surprise to a lot of people watching this video, but I have gone for Everton to stay up relatively comfortably. Don't be fooled by where I've got them in the league, because I don't think it's going to be an easy season for them, and I don't think that they're going to be without a relegation battle. This year is going to be more of the same for Everton fans. There's still a lack of quality investment into the first team, bringing in 38-year-old Ashley Young, which is hardly a signing that inspires confidence. In recent years, Everton have become the new Burnley, staying up every season by the skin of their teeth and narrowly avoiding relegation. But thankfully for them, they have got the best man in charge for managing a team like Burnley, or in this case Everton. Sean Dyche has built up a reputation of keeping afloat teams that quite frankly don't deserve to be there. And with the lack of quality in the teams below Everton in this list, list. I think that will be a massive saving grace for Everton this season, alongside the experience and reputation of Sean Dyche at the helm. If Calvert-Lewin can hit the ground running when he eventually returns, then that will also be a massive aid for the club. It's not going to be pretty or comfortable for Everton, but I think they've just about got enough to beat the drop. But something needs to change at that football club because the fans deserve better. 15th place, and I've gone for Bournemouth to stay up once again fairly comfortably. Andoni Areola was wanted by Leeds last season due to his Bielsa-style pressing play, and he's a fantastic appointment for a club like Bournemouth. Of course, he won't single-handedly keep Bournemouth up in the Premier League this season, and their squad is still relatively weak to be a Premier League side. They've spent money on players like Traore and Kluivert, but there are no real game changers brought in my opinion. 27 goals conceded from set pieces is a key area for them to sort out. It was the highest in the league last season. Could Areola get the best out of this Bournemouth side and keep them in the Premier League this season? Considering the lack of quality in the teams around them, I think so, but as always, let me know in the comments what you think of this prediction. And whilst you're there, guys, please make sure to subscribe. It helps me out and it means that you'll never miss another video. Football vlogs, football chat, all that waffle. Let's get into 14th place. And in 14th place, I've gone for the last of the newly promoted teams with Burnley. Back in the Premier League at the first time of asking, with a new footballing identity under manager Vincent Kompany, and what more of a romantic start to the season for him to make his first Premier League appearance as a manager at home to Manchester City. It's easy to get carried away and look at Burnley's new style of play and their attacking philosophy that Vincent Kompany has brought into the team and assume that it's going to be a walk in the park and they'll stay up comfortably. But things won't be that easy for Burnley, believe me, with that 6-0 FA Cup thrashing by Manchester City, a recent reminder of the gap in quality between their squad and those already in the Premier League. Their investment into young players is continuing to be the main transfer philosophy, with an average age of 24.7 years in the first team. And that could be a hindrance for these players at this new level of football. But under the guidance of Vincent Kompany, I have no doubt that he's going to be able to mould these players into being a solid Premier League outfit, which is why I think they're going to finish so comfortably around mid-table. And I think Burnley will be fine. 13th place, and I've gone for West Ham United. Champions of Europe, they know what they are. Of sorts, let's not get too carried away. An unbelievable achievement last term to finish a disappointing league campaign with a European trophy. And best believe I was cheering them on as they were lifting that trophy, even if they are West Ham. I think that West Ham have got the squad to finish higher up the table, certainly higher than they did last season. But losing Declan Rice is going to hurt them massively. And despite Lucas Paqueta still shining for the Claret and Blue side, I think that losing Declan Rice is going to hurt them massively. Overall, I think that they will finish higher than they did last season, and it's going to be a better campaign, but I don't expect it to be overly exciting for West Ham. A mid-table finish and a decent run in the Europa League is certainly a step in the right direction for West Ham, and I think that will be a great season for the Hammers. Moving into 12th place and another London side, I'm going for Fulham. Fulham were one of the many surprise stories from last season, and I expect them to stay up comfortably once again. Their recruitment last season was excellent, with Bert Leno signed for $6 million, Paulinho becoming a hot prospect for teams further up the table, and Pereira a brilliant addition for the Cottagers. Fulham's squad is very, very strong. Raul Jimenez is okay backup for the ever-consistent Mitrovic, but he's not the same player he was before his skull fracture at Wolves. Calvin Bassey adds some great quality in Fulham's defence, impressing for Ajax and Rangers, and looking a great addition in pre-season. I think a 12th place finish is par of the course for this Fulham side. I think that their squad is one top player away from breaking into the top half of the table and being a real competitive force in this league. Fulham are on the rise. 11th place and the definition of a mid-table club. It is Crystal Palace. Reading Crystal Palace's most recent finishes, they've been 11th, 12th, 14th, 14th, 12th, 11th, 14th, you get the point. Palace looked flat and uninspired under Patrick Vieira at the start of last season until Roy Hodgson kicked the energy back into Palace's young team, with a more attacking focus benefiting the likes of Elise and Eze, and the defensive pairing of Mark Gay and Joachim Andersen being one of the most underrated centre-back partnerships in the league. The biggest problem in Crystal Palace's squad is the lack of a top quality striker to lead the line efficiently, which has got to be their biggest priority in the rest of the transfer window in my opinion. Despite a quiet transfer window so far, Jefferson Lerma is a fantastic signing, picking up Bournemouth's Player of the Season award last year. I think Palace will do well again this year, and they could even finish slightly higher, but I think it will have to be a very good season to see them break into the top 10. Moving into the top half of the table, and this is where the nitty-gritty comes into play. And in 10th place, I'm starting with Brentford. It's no surprise that Ivan Toney is going to be a huge miss for the Bees, with their star striker out until January. That being said, they have got strength in the players around them. them, and it's a great opportunity for the likes of Mbeumo to step up to the plate, similar to that of Jensen, filling the void left by Christian Eriksen's departure last season. Brentford have got a fantastic manager and they're a well-functioning team, so I think that they will be very safe, very comfortable, despite the absence of their star player. They're led by a very smart manager who will find a way to see Brentford do well. However, the lack of their top goal scorer from last season will leave them needing to find 20 goals from somewhere to push higher up from where I think that they will finish. But all in all, I think it will be another good season for Brentford. 9th place, and another team that lit up the Premier League last season, I am going for Brighton. De Zerbi took over from Graham Potter's seemingly impossible job early into last season and somehow kept the impossible dream possible, arguably taking it further. Europa League football sealed and a club record finish in English football sees Brighton and Hove Albion reach new heights as a football club, which regardless of who you support, you love to see, unless maybe you're a Crystal Palace fan. Anyway, I do think that there will be a drop-off from last season due to the extra football and the improvement of the teams around them. And despite strong signings in the likes of Dahoud, James Milner and João Pedro, I just don't think that they've got enough to push as high as they did last season. Hopefully they have a successful campaign in Europe, and with such a talented manager in charge, it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep hold of him for the remainder of the season, because if there are any management changes in the top half of that Premier League table or elsewhere in Europe, best believe he is going to be top of everyone's shortlist. 8th place, and another unpopular one, it is Tottenham Hotspur. And the first talking point before I get any flack is the new gaffer. Ange Postecoglou is a very vocal and demanding figure which will benefit the Spurs dressing room, and that makes Spurs a very difficult team to predict this season. For me, it's all about how successful this appointment is in the early start of the season. I have no doubts over this man's quality as a manager and his influence as a motivator, but it just depends on whether or not the players buy into his philosophy, which is why that having a good start to the season is vital for Postecoglou in stamping his authority early into the season. Harry Kane's future yet again is very uncertain, with Bayern Munich hot on the collar for his signature, and without Harry Kane, Tottenham is simply not a team that are capable of challenging for the Champions League. It's as simple as that. Their overall squad is weak, and there's only so much that a player like Harry Kane can do on his own. With Son out of form last season, his performances must improve, and James Maddison is not nailed on to be a successful signing at Tottenham. This squad needs investment, and without it, I just can't see Spurs challenging for European places. And if Harry Kane does leave, it's going to be a very long season for Tottenham Hotspur fans. Moving into 7th place, and I've gone for Aston Villa. Can we please just take a moment to appreciate the work that Unai Emery has done for Aston Villa? He's taken Villa from relegation candidates to Europa Conference League football in only a matter of months. And with his track record in European competitions, the Europa League especially, expect Aston Villa to do very, very well in that competition. And what's more, they've got one of the strongest midfields in the league, strengthening that even further with a free signing of Yuri Tielemans from recently relegated Leicester. It's an outstanding addition to an overall incredibly strong squad. Diaby and Pau Torres add strength to both defence and attack, and give Villa enough strength to maintain and build upon a strong top half finish. With the recent change of their new badge, it marks a new era for this football club. And let me know your thoughts, by the way, in the comments on their new badge. I don't mind it, but I did quite like the old one. Let me know what you think. Moving into the top 6, and this is huge. We've already seen that Spurs are now not a part of my top 6, so who is in there? Well, starting off with 6th place, I've gone for the boys in the tune. It is Newcastle United. I know that we've just spoken about Unai Emery and the job that he's done at Aston Villa, but Eddie Howe. Eddie, how have you bloody done that? The job that Eddie Howe has done at Newcastle has been nothing short of astounding. Set to play Champions League football for the first time in 20 years, this marks a new challenge for the Newcastle side, now having to juggle league football, cup competitions and continental football on top of that. It's an important step in the future of Newcastle Football Club, whose long-term plans align with playing regular football in this competition, but I do think that they will miss out on qualifying again this season, purely based on the fact that it's a lot for them to handle, and in my head it's just one step too far too soon. And for what it's worth, I'd love to see them do well in the Champions League, and I think that they'll be able to make it out the group stage. Depending on a decent draw, we could potentially see Newcastle in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, but will it be the detriment to their league form? I certainly think so, but as always, let me know down below. 5th place, and it was going to come out at some point. I don't think that Chelsea are going to get top 4. Now. Calm down before all you Chelsea fans, maybe 3 of you watching, start giving it in the comments. Hear me out. Our new manager, Mauricio Pochettino, has already proven his desire for attacking football in pre-season, which will hopefully transfer in the league because the last 2 seasons has been drab. We've looked lackluster in front of goal, with last season being our worst goal tally in a Premier League season for 99 years. I think Nkunku is a great signing, but Nicholas Jackson is looking like the striker that Chelsea have been without since Tammy Abraham and Diego Costa before him. He's already stated his desire to overtake that man over there and become an even bigger legend at Chelsea, which is whetting my appetite. Now, of course, time will tell, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but something feels special about this signing. The biggest concern for me, however, is basically the fact that we just don't have a midfield. Mason Mount, Mateo Kovacic, and N'Golo Kante and Ruben Loftus-Cheek have all left, with rumours of Conor Gallagher potentially following them out the door. That is a problem that needs fixing if we want to push towards top 4. Of course, no European football for Chelsea this season is not something to be proud of and not where we want to be at all. However, it does allow Chelsea to keep our focus on the league and cup competitions, with the extra rest on our players allowing us a bit more of a chance at reclaiming that top 4 spot. I'm trying to be cautious and realistic because I do see a world where Chelsea can break into the top 4, and I think that we will make a strong push, but I just think that we'll narrowly miss out, with the biggest reason being our weak midfield, practically non-existent midfield. Let me know though, Chelsea fans, am I not being ambitious enough? I'm sure you'll let me know, but as always, I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts. Top 4, this is where it matters, and I'm starting things off with Manchester United. Ten Hag's reign at United has been par of the course so far, and another top 4 finish would be a great result for Manchester United this season. In my opinion, the biggest hole in Manchester United's team is that gap up top. They don't have an out-and-out striker who is destined to get even 10 goals a season. And with it looking ever likely that the links with Rasmus Hojlund will fruition into reality, is he really the man to take Manchester United to the next level? I really don't think so. He scored 9 goals last season in the Serie A, and at such a young age, it could end up being a similar story to Anthony Martial's time at the club. Of course, Marcus Rashford found his feet again last season and was important in United's success last season, so maintaining that form will be integral for United's push into the top 4 this season. And a few wins against the teams in the top 6, they could easily challenge for 3rd. But equally, I do see a reality where Chelsea can pip them into 4th place. Maybe that's just me wishful thinking. 3rd place, and I have gone for Liverpool. One of the transfer windows of the summer. World Cup winner Alexis McAllister for 42 million euros and Szoboszlai for 70 million are 2 statement signings for Liverpool. Seeing players like Jordan Henderson, James Milner and Bobby Firmino discarded as figures of the past. These departures do leave a void in the dressing room, with Jordan Henderson being the most notable to mention, but this is a new era and a transitional period for Liverpool. Their squad is undoubtedly rich with talent, and the players that I've mentioned that Liverpool have already signed match the calibre of players already at Liverpool, whilst their youth also gives them a platform to build on for years to come. Although the questionable sale of Fabinho leaves a gap in Liverpool's midfield that is yet to be filled. If these new players fit in with Klopp's fantastic footballing system, then I think that Liverpool will do well, which is why I've got them to finish in the top 3. And with a few extra signings, I think that Liverpool could see themselves challenging for the Premier League in a few seasons' time. However, I think they will just fall short of the top 2 at this period, but I will not be surprised to see them push higher than 3rd. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, it's the top 2. Who have I gone for 2nd? Who have I gone for 1st? It's between the same 2 that were battling it out at the end of last season. In 2nd place, I have gone for Arsenal, which means I think that Manchester City are going to win the league again. I know it's boring, but I'm trying to be realistic because last season my predictions were shocking. Starting off with Arsenal, all 3 of their signings have been massive statements of their intent of where they want to be as a football club. Signing Declan Rice for over 100 million euros is a stroke of genius, and he will fill the void left by Granit Xhaka and the void of leadership that brings. At such a young age as well, he's already one of the best holding midfielders and box-to-box midfielders in the world at the moment, and this signing gives Arsenal a fantastic holding midfielder for years to come. Justin Timber as well for 40 million euros is a brilliant signing. Kai Havertz is questionable. He is questionable. Take it from me as a Chelsea fan, 75 million. is questionable. His time at Chelsea was by and large a very unsuccessful move. He never hit the ground running for us. I don't know if he will at Arsenal either. It's one to look out for. He could shock and surprise everybody with a redemption arc of dreams, but I just don't see that happening. A massive point as well to finish off Arsenal is the fact that they are playing Champions League football, and I think that they will go deep into that competition as well. It's going to take a toll on these players. For a lot of them, it's going to be their first Champions League campaign. It is mentally draining to have to play so much football as well as physically draining, and the likelihood of Arsenal progressing well in the Champions League is only going to have a detrimental effect on their league form, which is why I think that they will narrowly miss out on the Premier League this season. So that means that Manchester City are going to win the Premier League again, in my opinion. I think that a lot of people will say that as well. They are fresh off of winning the treble. They're a well-oiled winning machine who are relentless due to the drive that is instilled into them by Pep Guardiola, whose hunger is undying and infectious. And just because that they've won a treble, don't for 1 second think that they're going to take their foot off the gas in any way, shape or form. Mateo Kovacic adds quality to an already strong midfield, and the departures of Gundogan and Mahrez will not halt Man City's dominance this season. They are an unstoppable force and they are not slowing down. I expect more of the same, and when you've got the best striker in the world, the best midfielder in the world in Kevin De Bruyne, and just so much quality and depth, how can you compete? So ladies and gents, that is the end of my Premier League predictions. Please let me know what you think of my predictions down below in the comments. I'm sure you will anyway, but it's going to be an exciting season, unpredictable as ever. We saw that last season. Thank you so much for watching. As always, guys, I will see you very, very soon. There are a lot of vlogs coming your way. A weekend jam-packed full of action, so stick around because you're not going to want to miss it. I will see you guys very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. Peace and love.